Revolutionary idea. Spain at the time, I was there from 1972 to 1975. It was the fastest growing democracy in the Western world under this system. It had 3.5% unemployment, and those who were unemployed were unemployable. They were either deranged or physically incapable of working. You never saw a kid without a pair of shoes. You never saw a hungry person. You never saw someone homeless. Everybody had a job. The system worked. So I do favor a flat tax, but with certain modifications as what's being proposed today.
Mr. Watson?
Thanks. A lot of people don't realize that we actually have the most progressive income tax in the world. The top 10% of people in this country pay a higher percentage of income taxes than even Europe, which surprises a lot of people. As a general rule, I like a consumption tax better, but unless we repeal the income tax, no way. And that's the problem with Herman Cain's plan, the 999, is that you're going to get an income tax and a sales tax, or basically essentially a VAT tax, which I think would be a huge mistake. So either or, either a flat income tax or a national sales tax, but not both.
Mr. Watson, we are about 200 or 300 yards from the ocean, which is gorgeous. People would die to be here just to look at this. But that's also a place where some of our best energy resources are, along with coal mines and shale and fracking. We lack an energy policy. What would you see as your energy policy?
Well, thanks. See, it's worse than a no energy policy. It's actually a destructive policy. We're intentionally hampering ourselves and hurting our ability to compete internationally. And we're driving up our cost of energy. We are not going to be competitive internationally if we have a higher cost basis for energy than our competitors. And we're doing that to ourselves voluntarily. It's absolute insanity. You know, it's interesting, we do have a lot of oil out here and we have a lot of gas in this country. And you know, before the fracking uncovered, you know, huge amounts of natural gas, which, you know, supposedly could run this country for 100 years. The left and the environmentalists were all in favor of natural gas, but not anymore, because it makes all their pet green projects totally unaffordable going forward. So personally, I think it's an all of the above. We need to use our own resources. You know, they're a commodity. If we start using them, the price is going to go down internationally, and that's going to help us compete. We should use everything at our disposal. We should drill where we should drill. I mean, we could drill from the beach here and get a huge amount of oil that we're not now. You know, this part of the country is really quite averse to drilling because of the '69 oil spill. But what they don't recognize is every single year in this channel, more oil leaks naturally into this water than was spilled. And the drilling, you know, the theory is relieves the pressure. And if you notice, if you lived here a while, the beach is way cleaner than it was even 10 years ago, and certainly 20 years ago.
America uses 18 million barrels of oil a day. 6 years ago, we imported 2 of every 3 barrels of oil. Since we opened up the shale oil in the Dakotas, we now import 1 of every 2 barrels of oil. We've now 9 million barrels a day are imported. Just the shale oil in this country, if you remove regulations, this country could be self-sufficient in 4 years with the creation of over 1 million jobs. Just with shale oil. We have enough natural gas in this country to run the country for 200 years. In Alaska, we have enough oil to ship 1 million barrels a day. We need to develop.
There's a poll out that shows that the people believe in Congress 12%. 12% of us really trust and respect Congress. Some of that is because of earmarks. Some of that is because of the lack of transparency. Some of that is because they go native when they go back there. What are your views on the Mr. Mitchell, your views on the use of earmarks and the transparency of what a Congress member should do?
Well, first of all, earmarks are basically bribes. I have a bill that I want to get passed, and Steve says, nah, I'm not going to vote for your bill. We won't get enough people to pass your bill. However, if you vote for my bill, I'll put this little thing in my bill, and we'll get that new baseball field in Santa Barbara for you, and everybody will think you're a hero. They'll name it the Chris Mitchum Baseball Field. It'll be terrific. You'll look great. And then you can go ahead and pass my bill because you're really doing something for yourself, and I'll go ahead and support your bill. That's the give and take. If you outlaw earmarks, you outlaw the bribing that takes place in Congress. It's that simple. We need to put a ban on all earmarks. Another way to do it would be a line item veto, but then the president would always veto the other guy's earmarks. So this way, you just flat out outlaw earmarks. You get rid of the bind of the vote, and when somebody presents a bill, cut out all these various amendments that are doing all these little special things. Just make the bill clean. I mean, make it something that people can read and understand, and we'll have a lot better form of government.
Under Obamacare, no booze hisses. Under Obamacare, the president cut and the Democrats cut. Oh, I apologize. I'm getting ready for your question.
Actually, to properly define an earmark, what an earmark is a specific line in a piece of legislation identifying a specific amount of money for a specific project. That is how this country has worked for a long, long time. Don't confuse, there's good earmarks and there's bad earmarks. What happened in the early 2000s up through the mid 2000s, it cost the Republicans, in my opinion, the majority in Congress was criminal. Those are earmarks that were, like Chris said, they're put in the dark of night in the last minute and they're not able to vote on. If they go through the normal process of being vetted and going through the normal legislative process, and they're voted on in committee and they're voted on and all that, and it's all transparent, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I'll give you some examples. The levee up in Santa Maria that the Army Corps of Engineers repaired, that's an earmark. Fixing Highway 101 and widening it, that could be another earmark. So they're not all bad. So, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That is how your representative in Congress, who is supposed to understand what the needs are of their communities, service those needs.
Obamacare cut $500 billion from Medicare, and starting in January, doctors and hospitals are going to be cut 30%. Under the new proposed stimulus proposal of the president, he wants to cut another $500 billion from Medicare. How would you handle health care for seniors?
Well, first of all, those $500 billion, they're never going to happen because doctors will stop seeing Medicare patients, and it happens every year. It's happened forever, where they, threaten these cuts. The doctors say, we're not going to take it, and then they cave in and do it. The bottom line is the entire, and we could spend probably all night talking about entitlements, but Medicare is totally unsustainable, as is Social Security. Medicare right now is projected by the trustees that run it to be unable to meet their obligations by the year 2024. My prediction is it's going to be sooner than that. And it's a problem of basic demographics. When they started these programs at Social Security, there was like 40 people working for every person receiving benefits. Today, there's 3 people working for every person receiving benefits. In 20 years, there's going to be 2 people working. That's totally not a sustainable solution. Right now, we have unfunded liabilities just in Medicare that exceed $37 trillion. This has to be changed. I like what Paul Ryan has proposed, and it's really quite simple. The left wants a demagogue, oh, you want to privatize it. No, it's actually doing the exact same thing that people in the government get, and it's a premium support model. You get X amount of money and a big choice of plans to go and buy your own insurance. If it's good enough for Congress, I don't know why it's not good enough for all the seniors in our country as well.
Well, first of all, I think we're all in agreement here that we must get rid of Obamacare. I think the Supreme Court, if they do the right job, will do it because it's unconstitutional. The things that you replace it with, Medicare, one of the first things you need to look at is somewhere between they don't even know, between $70 and $120 billion a year are stolen out of the Medicare system. So we need to tighten up inspection and checking on people and increase penalties for the theft out of Medicare. It's just a big grab bag. The things we can do in medicine, tort reform, obviously, is a given. We have to cut the cost of doctors to operate. We need to open up the borders so that insurance companies can compete. There are a lot of things. Our medicine is not bad, it's just too expensive.
Mr. Mitchell, thanks to Dodd-Frank, not Frank and Dodd-Frank, thanks to Dodd-Frank, Bank of America customers are getting a $5 thank you tax, because that's really what it is, a federal tax caused by the government. How would you protect the consumers from the financial institutions?
Well, first of all, the Dodd-Frank bill, I mean, it looks like Obamacare. It is 2,300 pages long. It has over 400 new regulations. I mean, this thing, the $5 charge on Bank of America is just the tip of the iceberg of what's going on. The whole regulation system that's taking place in Washington right now needs to be completely overhauled. We have to clean out everything. Most of those regulations are strangling business in this country and our financial institutions. They're impeding people from doing startup companies. They're forcing companies to go offshore. So the first thing we have to do is go out there and take a lice comb and comb out these regulations that Obama and Congress have put into place and let our economy start flowing again. Then we go back and see where we failed in the past, such as Barney Frank. Any time that guy has his name on the bill, we got to just vote against it. Barney Frank's whole everybody should own a house whether you can afford it or not program. We need to go in and look at the gap holes that we have that have failed and just take care of plugging those. Not this heavy-handed government top-down smothering of the entire economy to correct one little problem.
Well, Mark Levin calls Barney Frank Barney's Frank. But anyway, that is an absolutely horrendous law. It's one of the 3 big reasons that this economy isn't growing right now. It memorialized the too big to fail part of our economy. It's given the Fed incredible powers to do things. It's put huge new compliance costs on banking institutions that are going to keep them from loaning money, and we're seeing this already, and it's really going to make it hard for local and regional banks to compete. And the new requirements that they have for capital reserves and things like that, the FDIC is going in and auditing their accounts and making them raise their capital reserves, make it really, really hard for them to loan money. They're sitting on the sidelines and we can all see it in our daily lives.
The cost of illegal aliens to the state of California at all levels is $21 billion a year, from school districts to cities to counties to the state. The purpose of government, the basic purpose of government, is to protect the citizens from enemies, foreign and domestic. How would you handle the issue of illegal aliens?
Well, illegal immigration is illegal. Next question. No, it's a big problem. We need to control our borders. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. So that absolutely has to happen, and there's broad agreement, believe it or not, even between Democrats and Republicans on that issue. The other thing that we do need is, I believe, a robust guest worker program where a lot of these industries like agriculture and hospitality and some construction, definitely need access to that labor. I mean, we don't have 13 and 15 million people in this country simply sucking up social services. They're here mainly to work. If you talk to any farmer, they will tell you that they would be dead without that. So those 2 things absolutely have to happen, and those are both the responsibility of the federal government. And they have absolutely, completely, and totally failed this country for many, many years. And I think it's been a bipartisan travesty that this has happened. So, got to control the borders. We do need a guest worker program, and then I think a lot of these other programs will sort themselves out, because people that aren't here legally will find it very difficult to get employment and will go home. We've already seen actually a lot of self-deportations because of the economy. If you drive down to the wall over here where you can go pick up day laborers, 2006 it'd be 200-300 guys standing out there. You could drive by there now, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are out there in the morning. I saw a thing today, in fact, that claimed that there's actually a net 0 illegal immigration right now because they just can't find work up here, so they're not coming, and some of them have actually gone home.
The preamble of our Constitution provides that one of the reasons for government is providing the common defense of our country. This country